All right. So check this out. Creating content is easy, but creating content that actually converts is an entirely different discussion. Today, we are diving into basically the entire discussion, the entire difference, the key strategies that it actually takes to help you create content that drives action and actually delivers results. It's not too good to be true. I'm going to give you a ton in this live stream right here right now. Listen, in a world that is just absolutely flooded with all kinds of content, standing out just isn't really enough anymore. I That might be a hot take. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know we're live. Let me know, but standing out it's just not enough. It's just not enough. It's easy to stand out now. That's the new norm for many people. Your content, it needs to inspire action, whether that's making a purchase, whether that's signing up for your email list, or maybe not even something like that. Maybe it's just liking the post or sharing the post or liking the page. In this stream, we're going to break down just straight up five of the best actionable steps that you need to know to create content that actually converts. Just to give you a rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. Number one is understanding your audience. Number two is creating irresistible headlines. Number three, using storytelling effectively. Number four, integrating strong CTAs. And number five, this is in no particular order. Number five is optimizing for different platforms. We have a ton to discuss. So let's go ahead and jump straight into step number one, which is understanding your audience. Before you create a single word of content, you need to understand who you're actually talking to. What keeps them up at night? What challenges are they facing? What kind of business are they? What kind of person are they? It depends obviously on, what your customer is, but you need to know these things. Use surveys, social media polls, and just basically general feedback forms in whatever way you see fit to gather this insight. Platforms like Google Analytics or even Instagram Insights can give you kind of a high level snapshot of what your audience demographic and audience behaviors are like. But the best part is there are like these are super easy to use built-in tools that are just on the platforms themselves. So we're talking about Instagram. It takes 3 clicks to get there. So if you have a social media profile for your business and you've never checked out analytics before, I've mentioned Instagram like 5 times just now. Doesn't need to be Instagram. It can be whatever. This method works across the board for social media specifically. You're doing yourself a disservice if you've never checked it out. You have to do that. I challenge every one of you. Here's today's Credit Suite unofficial live stream challenge for you. We have a real live stream challenge going on right now over on the Bolt On Revenue Challenge, but this is a little side challenge for you. I challenge every one of you to spend 5 to 10 minutes at some point today to just check out your social analytics. Just check it out. It doesn't matter if you just checked it out this morning. It doesn't matter if it's been 6 years. Just check it out. Just kind of click buttons you've never seen before. Poke around, and it could absolutely be eye-opening for you. Then you want to take that information. Stick with me. We're only on step number one. I'm telling you, this is a jam-packed one for you today. Take that information you find out and you want to create what's called personas. In marketing, it's called personas. In sales, personas. You want to basically just develop 2 to 3 detailed audience personas. Now, I say 2 to 3 because that's just a pretty good starting point. It could go all the way up to 100 if you need it to be. But, most people don't do that. Most people, it's 3, 5, 7. Single digits is usually where it's at. But again, I haven't seen every single business's marketing. So you do what you see fit. But let's just start with developing 2 to 3 detailed audience personas based off all the analytics that you just gathered or all the information you just gathered based off of whatever platform or poll or however you got it, right? You want to include information like their age in these personas, their age, their profession, their goals, their frustration. When you create content, write as though you're speaking directly to these personas. This is marketing 101 for you here, folks. Personas are basically just fake customer types, and you want to create a couple of them because realistically every business has more than just one. You may think you're just selling to one person, but that one person could be divided into much, much more when you actually get down to those details. So you want to do that, and you actually want to make sure that all of the content that you're creating, however you're creating it, wherever you're creating it, it is speaking directly to one of those personas, regardless of how many you may or may not have. Now, it's time to dig a little bit deeper. Again, we're only with step one. You guys hanging out? You guys doing okay? Now, we want to dig a little bit deeper with social listening, right? Social listening. It's just, it sounds so mysterious, but it's really not that big of a deal. So you go beyond traditional data collection here. So use tools like Hootsuite, for example. You can monitor conversations around your industry. This gives you literally real time insights into what audiences that go to your type of industry actually care about. These people are your customers. These people are the people you want on your page. So make sure that you are monitoring what they need, and you can take that and then move it into the personas, kind of craft those personas a little bit more. Because if you're just starting out with the personas, obviously it's going to be very vague. If you don't have any kind of insight, if you're starting day one from scratch right here, vague is okay. But the more that you learn about who you're speaking to on the other side of the screen, you can start to kind of narrow that down and seeing what social listening your audience or what you think is your audience or what you know is your audience. A lot of hypotheticals so far. Let's keep moving on. Whatever you find out, you need to take that real time insight and make it go back to those personas, and those personas craft around your content. You get it. And finally, you need to understand their journey. So actually map out your audience's buyer journey. This sounds like a lot of work, and I'm going to be honest with you. All the things I've said so far is a couple days of work. But if it makes sales, who cares, right? So basically, you want to map out the final little sub step here out of step one is you want to actually map out this buyer's journey, and you need to be aware of their problems. You need to make sure that they're ready to purchase. If they're not ready to purchase, why not? You need to have an answer to that. You just basically tailor the content to match these answers and tailor the content to match your audience. All right, we got that. Step number one. Okay, step number two is craft good headlines. Easier said than done. So that's because your headline is your first impression, pretty much. It's your first answering machine to the world, right? So studies show that 80% of all people will read your headline, but only 20% will actually click through to read the rest. So you make your headlines worth it, make it count. Here's some starting points for you. So use numbers, right? These are things that we do at Credit Suite, that I do at this desk all day long. So you want to use numbers like 5 ways to save money today. That's very catching, very concise. That's a good headline, right? Obviously, these are pretty vague too, but you get what I'm saying. You get the direction we're going. You want to ask actually intriguing questions like, are you making these common mistakes in marketing? That makes somebody want to click and say, well, what are the mistakes? Do I know if I'm making them? I need to know. So that's another great one. You want to incorporate urgency. This is again marketing 101, but you got to get this. You got to get this right. Incorporate urgencies. So things like Don't miss out on this exclusive deal. I'm sure you've all heard that a million times in your life. At some point, you maybe even be using that right now for your marketing. Is a reason you've seen it a million times and heard it a million times. It's because it works. Try formulas like how to, you know, parentheses, achieve something. Little ad lib, business ad libs filling in what you need. So try something like how to blank, how to achieve something, or the ultimate guide to topic. Just, have these little formulas ready to go that you can grab and say, this would work best for this piece of content right here. These grab attention while also promising value. That's a good headline. So let's say you're writing about productivity. Okay. So instead of tips to better time management, try 7 proven productivity hacks that will transform your workday. A little bit longer, but it's a little bit more eye catching. It's a little bit more appealing. It's a little bit more grabbing, right? That's the job of a headline. See how enticing that automatically more is. Like it's just a step up in all regards. Also, don't forget your A/B testing, folks. A/B test these headlines. So A/B testing just simply means, in a one sentence description, A/B testing just means you're testing multiple headlines for the same piece of content at the same time. You're running it A, B. One headline's A, one headline's B. You're running them at the same time. Platforms like Facebook Ads Manager or even email marketing tools, so many of them allow you to actually compare performance of these A/B tests and actually identify what resonates the most. That's very crucial for any kind of long-term success. You got to know what works and you got to know who you're talking about. But that's step one. I'm not going to bring it up again. You got that. But you want to make sure that you're keeping track of this content to review what actually works best and what the bottom picks are for your audience or whoever may be stumbling on your content. Then you turn around, you might be picking up on a theme at this last step here. Then you turn around and then apply those insights into future content. Speaking of future content, let's keep moving on to using storytelling to connect in your future content. That's step number 3, using storytelling. So, humans are hardwired for storytelling. It's just how it is. It's how it is. It's why we remember narratives more than statistics because stories evoke emotions and emotions drive decisions. That's just the nature of the game. Okay. And storytelling, just the generalized storytelling, let's just take ourselves out of marketing and sales and business owners. Just storytelling has a very basic structure and basically has forever. And this is the exact same for your content online, right? So basically, let's do this in 3 steps. The basic structure of good storytelling is problem, solution, transformation. Think of your favorite movie of all time right here, right now. And I can guarantee you, well, I don't want to guarantee because there's some wonky movies out there, but I can guarantee you that most of the movies that everyone has ever seen in their entire lives, it has a problem, a solution, and a transformation. And that is the story arc. That's why it's called a story arc. This applies to content online too. You might be looking at me and saying, Carl, I'm posting a meme about my business. It's not that serious. And you know what? Memes, yeah, that's a different conversation. But by the way, fully support posting memes on social media. I don't want anybody to think that I'm against that. But what I'm saying is even like, content that you came up with 5 minutes ago, ask yourself, is this a story worth telling? And number 2, does it have a problem, solution, and transformation? Show your audience their problem and then introduce your solution. Ta-da! And then highlight the transformation that they can expect. Okay. For instance, instead of saying, our software is super cool, tell a story about a customer who went from spending 10 hours a week on manual tasks to automating their workflow and gaining time for their family or gaining more money because they could put their time somewhere else. This is relatable. This is so relatable to so many people in so many ways. You probably even have customers right now who have vocally had a great experience. How can you leverage that in some content format? Spend time figuring that out. Use visuals like video, of course, infographics, of course, or even, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it, even memes to complement your story and make it more engaging. Also, regardless of the topic, don't look past opportunities for emotionally driven content. Remember, people may forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So appeal to emotions like hope or fear or aspirations, and you can actually make that story memorable, regardless of what that story is attached to and what that piece of content might be. Make it memorable. Try your best at least. I know, like I said, it's easier said than done with the headlines. I'm going to apply that for pretty much every one of these steps that we're talking about today. But see what you can do. Step 4, we're moving right along, aren't we? Step 4, you still with me? Everybody still with me? Let's go to step 4. It is to integrate strong call to actions, or CTAs, more formally called CTAs. So your content won't convert if you don't tell your audience what to do next. It seems silly. It seems so silly, right? But it's the way of content. It's content strategy. It's social media marketing. It's it's every type of marketing. You gotta tell them exactly where they need to go. And that's okay because this is where CTAs come in, because CTAs bridge that gap between consuming content and actually taking action. You want them to take action. If you didn't know, that's a little secret. You want them to take the action, but you also want to make sure that you're using those CTAs so that they know to take that action, whatever that action may be. So you have to make CTAs clear and specific, very specific, right? So instead of vague phrases like learn more, use an actual actionable and actually specific command like download your free guide now. Boom. That is automatically better. 3 places. I'm going to give you a little pro tip right here, right now, along with all the other ones, right? I'm telling you guys, this is jam packed. We're going to keep moving. 3 places where CTAs work best, typically speaking. Obviously, every business is a little bit different, but typically speaking, number one is blog posts. So within the first few paragraphs, and also it's nice to throw one in at the end as well. Videos is number 2, so verbally and also visually at key moments, including a CTA, whatever that may be. And then number 3 is emails, so above the fold and just a clear button. 3 of the best places and uses for CTAs. Phrases like limited time offer or only 3 spots left compel immediate action, which is exactly what you need here. You need immediate action. You're telling them to take that action. And if the content is good and step 1, 2, and 3, we're on step 4, right? Yeah, step 4. I had to go up in my little notes here. If you've done step 1, 2, and 3 correct, and now we're on step 4, then all of this is starting to very, very quickly come together for you. At least I hope that you visually are going on this journey with me and going, yeah, 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 I see this, I see it. It all makes sense now. That's the goal, right? That's the goal here. So you want to create that immediate action, and that's the job of CTAs. Okay. So you should also consider including testimonials or stats if you have them alongside CTAs, just to reinforce credibility. Of course, it's always nice to do that. For example, something as simple as join 10,000 plus others who have downloaded this guide. It automatically, obviously, don't be saying that if you haven't had 10,000 other people download it, but whatever stats are relevant to you and that specific piece of content, lean into that as much as you can, because it's an automatic way of giving trust, for in most cases giving you trust as the business owner, especially if it's just a cold email or some sort of cold marketing or organic marketing. That little line saying, all the cool kids are over here, what are you doing over there? It seems simple, seems almost elementary, but it works. So something like join 10,000 plus others or whatever statistic works best or whatever statistic you have to use it is my suggestion. Again, seems like a small thing, but I promise it goes such a long way. And just like pretty much everything else, you want to test and optimize. So A/B test different CTAs to actually see what resonates most with your audience. So in an email, a CTA could be claim your 10% discount today. On social media, you could change it up a little bit and make it swipe up to watch the full tutorial. And then take the two, and we're going back to almost the same ending I've had for every one of these steps. I hope you're following along at home. Then you just compare the notes and see which one works, rinse, and repeat. You also want to use multiple formats for CTAs. So test button CTAs versus just hyperlinked text or visuals or whatever. Let them face off. See what, find out what actually catches the attention and what actually is giving the audience the kind of idea of clicking and the reinforcement to click. So use multiple formats. Step number 5. Whew, we did it. Step number 5. Hope you guys are still along with me. Nice to see everybody over on a couple different platforms. Nice to see you. We got Alfredo. We got Alfredo in the chat running right now. So if you have any questions or links or anything like that, Alfredo's in the virtual studio keeping up. I got to keep moving. If you haven't noticed, we haven't gotten to our final step here, but thank you for coming in. Step number 5. 5 of 5. Again, not in any particular order. Okay, the suspense is killing me too. It's optimized for different platforms. So every platform has its own vibe and audience behavior. It's just how it is. So tweet needs to be kind of snappy, right? While a LinkedIn post is able to be a little bit more in depth. Play around with that. Another amazing way to optimize for different platforms is one of my favorite things ever, and it's called repurposing content. So, just as it sounds like, so you can turn a blog post into an Instagram carousel post, a YouTube video, and a podcast episode, or blah, 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 blah. This not only saves time for you, very obviously, but it also ensures that you're meeting your audience wherever they are, because you also have to realize that too. Just because you're on Twitter a lot or LinkedIn a lot and you like posting there doesn't mean that's where your audience is. So you need to go where they are, knock on their door, their virtual social media door. Also, this is literally one of the best known secrets when it comes to marketing, especially on a small team. So if you're a small business owner who doesn't have a built out marketing department or not even just fully built out, just a person to help with marketing in any way, most startups do not. Lean into repurposed content. It is a really great way to leverage working once and eating 5 times. So make sure you do that. You also want to leverage analytics. Look, at this far down, I'm not saying anything you haven't heard, but again, there's some common themes, and it's worth mentioning because it's also important on step 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we are on number 5, leveraging analytics. So keep track of what works on each platform. Double down on strategies that bring the most engagement and conversations. You all probably are saying the exact same thing back to me on the screen because I've said it 1,000 times, but it's kind of a big deal. So make sure you don't skip that or downplay it. You also want to stay consistent. Your brand voice should remain consistent across platforms, even if the format changes. So a tweet is extremely different than a long form YouTube video, but you want to make sure that both sound like you or your business. So that takes a little time to hone in, but you need to make sure that you're taking the actionable steps to do that, right? Consistency, when you're actually consistent across all platforms, all content, consistency builds trust and it also builds recognition. And both of those are a really great thing to have when it comes to customers, new and old. And then you also want to engage with your audience. So don't just post and forget it. That's a big no-no, right? Don't do that. So you want to respond to comments, you want to answer questions, and you want to start conversations. Engagement fosters loyalty, And in many ways, loyalty can give you some of the largest sales you've probably ever had in your life. This is such a big deal that Credit Suite, plus, Credit Suite didn't come up with this idea, but Credit Suite's marketing team is a fully built out one, which means we have people doing all sorts of stuff, right? Fully built out. Each person's dedicated to each section of the marketing team. I mentioned Alfredo's in the virtual studio a little bit ago. He's our community manager. And his job, or at least part of his job, he does quite a lot. I don't want to undermine him by just putting him into this one hole or this one box, but uh, one of the things that Alfredo does is he's our community manager. His job every day is to go in and respond to messages, respond to comments. It is that big of a deal to us that that's happening because it is that little engagement with the audience not only obviously helps analytically with posts, but also it builds that trust and it also builds that loyalty. So big deal. Now, I'm not sitting here saying go hire a community manager. Obviously, that's your call. But what I'm saying is it's extremely important. So important that the role of community manager is a staple in any built out marketing team, including Credit Suite. So we have covered 5 steps to create content that converts. Number one, knowing your audience. Number two, creating attention grabbing headlines. Number three, using storytelling. Number four, integrating strong CTAs. And number five is optimizing for platforms, again, in no specific order. I want you to think about one step that we've covered today that you can implement today as well on your platforms, on to your audience, on your content. Maybe it's improving your headlines just a little bit, or adding stronger CTAs to your content, or adding CTAs if you don't have them. Just think about one single step. And if that's a little overwhelming, which it could be, definitely doesn't have to be widespread. If you say, okay, I want to improve my headlines, that can just be a single piece of content that you do that on. Just I encourage you to do that. It's crazy how many people do not do things in life because they just never take that first step. I'm super guilty of that too. It's human nature pretty much, right? But in business though, and if you're a business owner, you're probably saying preach, preach, preach. But in business, there's usually a little bit more at stake with that. So take a small step today, and little by little, you have content that's converting like a wheel in the background, just spinning. Just spinning. You've already done the work. You've already created the personas. You've already crafted the headlines. You've already perfected the CTAs. You've already multiplied your content and you diversify your content. You've perfected your brand voice, all of that's good to go. Once you're at that point, then you can kind of multiply and duplicate and multiply, and then you have a process. Then all of a sudden, you just have content that's just living in the virtual wild, right? Which means that you can literally make money sleeping just because of a meme on Facebook. It's pretty cool when a marketing department does what it needs to do. And all of these 5 things that I just said, if you implement them little by little, and if you start today, then I can guarantee that you're going to see some sort of progress, whether that's couple more views, couple more sales, or going viral every post. But you got to start with the foundation, and the 5 we covered today is where you should start. Hey, did you enjoy today's stream? We have 2 of these every single week, plus just tons and tons of content going out across all of our social media. So you know the drill. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you're watching us on right now. We will be back on Thursday, so 2 days from today. And I sure hope to see you in chat just like I saw you today. Or if you're lurking, if you're a lurker, I'm a lurker myself on live streams. Hello, my lurkers. I love my lurkers just like I love the commenters. I hope to see all of you in some form in the background or commenting on Thursday. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, small steps today lead to much, much, much bigger tomorrows. Thank you, everybody, for your time.